Help! This boy stole my phone! Karen screamed as the entire bus turned to look, except there was just one problem. It wasn't hers. You ever have one of those days where you just want to relax, but the universe decides, nope, not today? Well, that was me. I had already spent 40 minutes waiting for the bus because, let's be honest, Canadian transit can be a nightmare. So when the bus finally arrived, all I wanted to do was sit down, unwind, and enjoy a simple game on my phone. The bus ride was going to be at least an hour long, which made it the perfect time to zone out and lose myself in a game. I had my phone on silent, not bothering anyone, just chilling in my own little world. Everything was fine until she showed up. Enter Karen, you know the type. The short blonde haircut, the overly confident stance, and that signature look of entitlement on her face. She wasn't just any Karen, though. This one had a mission, and unfortunately for me, I was her target. I noticed her staring at me from a few seats away. At first, I thought nothing of it. Maybe she was just looking around, but then she got up and marched straight toward me. Without even a hello or a sorry to bother you, she hit me with, "Give me your phone." I blinked. Excuse me? My phone? Before I could even process what was happening, she kept going. "You shouldn't be using that in public. It's rude. Hand it over." And that was when I realized this wasn't just any entitled person. This was a full-fledged Karen on a crusade. For a second, I thought she was joking. Maybe this was some kind of weird social experiment or a prank. But no. Karen's expression was dead serious. She was actually standing there, demanding that I hand over my phone like she was some kind of public transport enforcer. I let out a small, awkward laugh. No? That was apparently the wrong answer, because her face immediately twisted into peak Karen outrage. She folded her arms and scoffed. "You kids are so addicted to these things, it's disgusting. People like you need to learn some respect." I blinked. Respect? For what? Sitting quietly and minding my own business? Trying to keep things civil, I responded, "I'm not bothering anyone. My phone is on silent. I'm just playing a game." Karen wasn't having it. She rolled her eyes dramatically. "That's not the point. Phones are a disease in society. You should be spending this time thinking, learning, or looking at the world around you, not rotting your brain with whatever nonsense is on that screen." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Was this woman seriously trying to save me from my own phone? Like she was some kind of digital detox warrior? I sighed and went back to my game, hoping she'd get bored and walk away. But instead, she leaned in closer. "If you don't give it to me, I'll take it myself." Now, I'm not the type to escalate things, but I wasn't about to let some random stranger steal my phone in the name of teaching me a lesson. So I stared her dead in the eyes and said, "You touch my phone and we're going to have a problem." Karen huffed and took a step back, but instead of giving up, she went for plan B. She suddenly turned to the front of the bus and shouted at the driver, "Help! This boy stole my phone!" Before I continue, I'm on a road to 1,000 subscribers as a small channel. If you want to help me reach my goal, please watch the video until the end, and subscribe if you like this type of content. I would really appreciate it. Now let's continue. "Help! This boy stole my phone!" For a moment, the entire bus went silent. Passengers turned to look, and I felt my stomach drop. Did she really just accuse me of stealing my own phone? The bus driver immediately reacted, getting out of his seat and marching toward us. He looked between me and Karen, his expression already leaning toward believing her. "What's going on here?" Karen pointed at me dramatically like she had just caught a criminal in action. "That's my phone. He stole it from me." I was absolutely stunned. Was she serious right now? I held up my phone. "This is my phone. She's lying." Karen gasped like I had just insulted her entire family. "How dare you? You little thief, you should be ashamed of yourself." The bus driver sighed, clearly not wanting to deal with this nonsense, but also not knowing who to believe. All right, let's settle this. If it's your phone, prove it. I was about to show him my lock screen when Karen suddenly snatched the phone out of my hand. Hey! I shouted, reaching for it, but she held it away like a toddler playing keep away. See? This is mine, she insisted, gripping it tightly. The bus driver looked at her. If it's really yours, then unlock it. A smirk crept onto my face. This was it. The moment of truth. Karen confidently swiped up on the screen and the phone asked for a passcode. Her face twitched. She hesitated, then quickly typed in a random set of numbers. Wrong password. The bus was dead silent. She tried again. Wrong password. Again? Wrong password. By the fourth failed attempt, the screen locked for 30 seconds. I crossed my arms and raised an eyebrow. Go on. If it's really yours, you should know the password, right? Karen's face turned red. She let out an awkward laugh, but she was visibly panicking. The bus driver sighed and turned to me. All right, if this is your phone, you unlock it. I took the phone from Karen's hand, typed in the correct password in one try, and watched as the screen unlocked instantly. That's when the entire bus knew she was lying. The second my phone unlocked in one try, the entire bus went dead silent. Karen's face went through a full range of emotions. Shock, embarrassment, frustration, all in the span of a few seconds. She blinked rapidly, her mouth opening and closing like she was trying to come up with some excuse. The bus driver narrowed his eyes at her. Ma'am, if that was your phone, why didn't you know the password? Karen let out a nervous laugh and scoffed. Oh, come on. Maybe I just changed my password and forgot it. It happens. I shook my head. Really? Because you didn't even hesitate when you were putting in random numbers. And you tried 5 different passwords? The other passengers on the bus started murmuring, some even laughing under their breath. The woman sitting across from us shook her head and muttered, Unbelievable. But Karen still wasn't giving up. Instead of admitting she was flat out caught, she crossed her arms and went for one of the worst excuses I've ever heard. So what if I tried to take the phone? It's still incredibly disrespectful to use your phone in public. I was just trying to teach this boy a lesson. I stared at her in disbelief. Was she serious? The bus driver looked just as dumbfounded. Ma'am, you accused him of stealing. You took his phone, and now you're saying you did it just to teach him a lesson? Karen threw her hands in the air, exasperated. Yes! No one has the guts to stand up to these phone addicts anymore. I was trying to do the right thing. At this point, the entire bus had turned against her. Someone in the back actually started clapping, and a guy a few seats away chuckled. Yeah, great lesson, lady. Stealing is totally the way to set an example. Karen's face turned even redder. She huffed and turned to the bus driver. Are you really going to let this disrespectful brat get away with this? The bus driver shook his head, clearly done with her nonsense. Ma'am, you need to sit down. If you don't, I'll have to ask you to get off at the next stop. Karen looked like she wanted to argue, but at this point, she had lost all support. No one was on her side. Even she had to realize that if she kept pushing, she might actually get kicked off the bus. With a final dramatic huff, she stomped back to her seat and muttered, The world is going to hell, I swear. I took a deep breath and shook my head, finally able to relax again. Or so I thought, because despite being completely exposed as a liar and a phone thief, Karen still had one more thing to say. I could hear her grumbling under her breath. Unbelievable kids these days. No respect, no discipline. Can't even put their phones down for one bus ride. At this point, I was over it. I had proven my point in front of everyone, and I wasn't about to waste any more energy on her nonsense. I just put my headphones in, turned up the volume, and went back to my game. But apparently she wasn't done. She turned to the person next to her and loudly said, I was only trying to do the right thing. People should thank me for trying to teach them some manners. The guy next to her, he wasn't having it either. He scoffed and said, Lady, you literally tried to steal someone's phone and lied about it. How is that doing the right thing? Another woman chimed in. Yeah, maybe worry about your own manners before lecturing other people. At that point, Karen realized she wasn't going to win. She let out one last angry sigh, crossed her arms, and pouted like a child for the rest of the ride. As for me, I just enjoyed the rest of my game, knowing that justice had been served. By the time the bus reached my stop, Karen was still sitting there, glaring at the window like she was plotting her next lesson. But one thing was for sure, she wasn't going to forget this ride anytime soon. As I stepped off the bus, I couldn't help but shake my head. What just happened? I had spent 40 minutes waiting for public transit, just hoping for a peaceful ride. And instead, I got a full Karen experience. It still amazed me how some people can be so entitled that they think they're doing the world a favor by forcing their opinions on others. Karen really thought she was on some kind of moral mission. But in reality, all she did was make a fool of herself in front of a bus full of people. The irony? She was complaining about manners and respect, yet she was the rudest person there. She demanded my phone, lied to get me in trouble, and when she got caught, she refused to apologize. And for what? Because I was playing a silent mobile game on the bus? It's wild how some people just can't mind their own business. As frustrating as the situation was, I couldn't help but laugh a little. At least I walked away with a ridiculous story to tell. And Karen? Well, she walked away with nothing. No stolen phone, no lesson taught, just pure embarrassment. And honestly, that's the best karma she could have gotten.